right, we're going to go ahead and get started. And anyone else joins in, perfect timing. But hello, everyone. My name is Shamice Banks, and I serve as the Assistant Director here in the Office of New Student and Family Programs, which means I have the honor of not only welcoming and assisting your students to Duke as they start their new journey here on campus, but also to assist you all and welcome you to the Duke community, our wonderful family community, to also ensure that you all are prepared as well, because not only is your student going through a big transition, you are also going through that as well. And so this also kicks off our parent and family orientation series for 2024. And so before I hand it over to our amazing Pratt undergraduate education team, I'll just go over a few housekeeping for this Zoom webinar today. So first, this webinar is being recorded. So for any of our friends who are unable to join us live, and also for you, if you want to come back and there was a nugget that you missed or something that you wanted to write down that was a little bit too fast for you, this webinar will be recorded for you to go back and to rewatch. And so we ask for 48 to 72 hours to get this webinar transcribed, and then we'll post it on our website. Also, there's going to be an opportunity at the end for you to ask any questions of our amazing team. But we recommend you listen to the entire presentation, because again, you'll recognize and realize how amazing this team is. And I'm sure that this presentation is going to answer a lot of your questions. So let the presentation go through, but there is a Q&A box at the bottom. The chat box or the chat function is disabled. So that is where you will put any of your questions about anything that the presenters share with you today, or if you're having any issues with the webinar, the Q&A box is where you would put in those questions or those concerns. And so those are all of the housekeeping that I have. And so now I'm going to pass this presentation off to our amazing Pratt undergraduate education team. But first, I'm going to hand it over to Dean Lynch.
Thank you so much, Mies. And I'd like to first say welcome to all the families and the students that are online this evening to learn a little bit more about what your journey is going to look like when you arrive here on campus and become members of our Duke engineering community. We are so excited about the opportunities that lie ahead for you and your students and the experiences that they're certainly going to have over the next 4 years. Understandably, you have a lot of questions, but what I'd like to impart this evening is to share with you really what drives our program conceptually and in principle. In addition to providing a best-in-class engineering education experience to your students, training them to be the leaders of technology and to be the problem solvers of tomorrow, our program really focuses on 3 important attributes of the experience that are going to develop your students into young professionals. The first is we design our program to ensure that your students are able to find their purpose, really what they're intended to do, what are they passionate about, and what really drives them as they think about their future career. The experiences they have are going to allow your student to practice that purpose and really identify and refine that for themselves so that when they leave Duke, they're on a pathway for success and impact. In order for our students to find that purpose, we are a strong believer in experiential learning. It's about giving students hands-on experience, essentially giving them real-world problems that are sourced from real-world clients so that they understand the material they're learning has real importance in solving the problems of a variety of stakeholders that they may engage professionally as young engineers. The third important attribute of our program is really about supporting the growth of your student. We encourage all of our students not only to get deep exposure to engineering, but to also grow in other dimensions. Lean in hard on the opportunities to take liberal art courses in our Trinity College of Arts and Sciences, or explore the wide range of co-curricular experiences that are available across all of Duke. Find their interests, grow, and not be afraid to try things. Develop a high degree of resilience in their 4 years when they're here with us in the Duke community on campus. Those are the 3 themes you're going to find tonight as we share with you many of the attributes of the journey that you and your students are going to be on over the next 4 years. So again, welcome to the Duke engineering family. I am so excited to meet all of you on move-in weekend in I think about 6 weeks. But I'm just looking forward to meeting you all, getting to know your students, and embarking on this beautiful and important journey with them for the next 4 years. Thank you. Oh, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Associate Dean Lisa Hutel, who's the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Programs and is going to drive much of the presentation tonight with the undergraduate team that we have here in the Pratt School of Engineering. Lisa?
Great. Thank you, Dean Lynch. I appreciate it. And welcome to everyone here. And thank you for coming to our presentation tonight. I'm thrilled to be here to help answer some of your questions. I know this is a very exciting time for you and for your students. And so we're very happy to be able to share some information about the Pratt Undergraduate Education Program and how we're going to really welcome the class of 2028 and you into the Duke family and support your student throughout their entire time here at Duke. So let me just begin with some introductions. So I am Lisa Hutel. I am the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education in Pratt. I'm also a faculty member in Electrical and Computer Engineering. And I work with a fabulous team, our undergraduate education team, and their photos are here, and I'll just briefly go through. Beginning in the top row, we have Greg Bumpus and Steve Earp. Greg is our assistant machine shop manager, and Steve is the machine shop manager. Next, you have my photo. And then we have Dean Lupita McMillan, who is here on this call tonight, and you will have the opportunity to hear from her and ask her questions. Dean Carmen Rawls. And then they are joined with our third academic dean, Ben Cook, who is also on this call tonight in the bottom row there. Next, we have Emma Albright. Emma is our staff assistant, supporting our entire team and also interfaces a lot with our students. Next to Emma is Heather Rabelais, who is our program coordinator, and Heather makes sure the entire program runs smoothly and supports our team. And then finally, we have Tarina Argis, and she is our Director of Student Affairs. She's also on this call, so we can tap into her expertise as well. So I'm super excited to be working with this wonderful, very supportive and student-focused team. And we'll now talk a bit more about all the resources that we have to support your student. So Duke approaches the support of your student using a multi-pronged approach. And so I think this illustrates sort of the breadth and holistic support that we're going to provide to your student. You can see your student there in the center, surrounded by all these different kinds of support from different areas and resources. So beginning over there on the left with the engineering school, starting at the top with our academic deans. So we saw that we have 3 academic deans, Dean McMillan, Dean Rawls, and Dean Cook, and they interface with all of our undergraduate students. We've organized this relationship in a way such that your student will be working with a particular academic dean their entire time at Duke, which really facilitates them getting to know each other as individuals and providing that individual support that each student needs throughout their 4 years here at Duke. In addition to the academic deans, we have an innovative first-year mentoring and advising program called the 360 Coaching Program, and I'm going to talk about that a bit more in our next slide, so I'll come back to that. We also have peer advisors. We refer to that as our E-team. For those questions that students would just really rather talk to a peer and get advice from them. So from the school's perspective, those are the resources, some of the resources provided. We also have departmentally based resources. These include major consultants. Major consultants are actually part of the 360 program. Again, I'll talk about that more in a second. But they are dedicated to our first-year students and really helping them to explore their interests and work their way over the course of the year to figuring out what major do they really want to pursue. Next, we have our directors of undergraduate studies. So every major has a director of undergraduate studies who oversees the entire undergraduate program for that particular major, everything from curriculum to departmentally based extracurricular activities, and also career and mentoring advising. And then finally, to complete this holistic support at the university level, there are a variety of resources that contribute to the support of your student, including our wellness support focusing on both the physical and the mental health of your student. Career Center, which provides advising, things such as resume reviews, internship career fairs, also advising and connecting them to our alumni network. And then, of course, we have extensive Academic Resource Center providing academic support for your students. Everything from learning consultants who can work with a student who's interested in developing their skills in time management or test taking, also to a variety of tutoring options, both individual and group options, to support the range of needs that our students have. So all in all, you can see quite a variety and extensive network of support that we can provide for your student. Now, this is all great and wonderful, but you may be looking at that going, that's an awful lot of and complex network that might be a little bit overwhelming. And so this is where our 360 coaching can come into play, and where we are going to help your student navigate all of these resources that are available to them. So our 360 coaching program, as I mentioned, is our innovative first-year mentoring and advising program dedicated to our first-year students. 360 coaches are faculty members who have been specifically selected to mentor our first-year students. They've received extensive training and are very knowledgeable about the wide range of resources that you saw on that previous slide, and are able to help students navigate this network and connect with the resources that they particularly need. Every coach is going to have a cohort of about a dozen students assigned to them. This assignment typically happens in the first few weeks of the semester, so it hasn't happened yet, but it will. And then throughout the course of the year, the 360 coach will have both individual meetings with your student, as well as group meetings and activities that foster not only their academic development and support, but also focus on community building and all the other aspects of their transition to academic university life. Our program aims to do a number of things. Very important to the program is developing high trust relationships with each student. And this is going to be done through regular and meaningful interactions. So this is not a program where your student meets with them once and never sees them again, but this is a program when they're really going to get to know their faculty advisor and feel very comfortable coming to them with questions and seeking advice. In addition, the program seeks to provide students with tools, information, and knowledge that they need to support their transition to university life, support the students as they navigate all of the challenges common to first-year issues, assist the students in navigating that complicated network of resources and making sure they know how to connect with the resources that are needed, including making referrals as needed. And then, of course, to guide the students in their exploration and selection of a major and thinking about career paths as they start down this journey. Here you can see a couple of photos, and again, kind of emphasizing the fact that this is not simply sitting in a faculty office for a one-off meeting, but we have a variety of activities. In the upper left, you'll see a group of students who are having lunch together in one of our on-campus dining venues called the Commons, which they actually need to attend with a faculty member. And so that cohort is there with their coach. Next to that, we have a group of 360 advisees and their coach who have just completed the chapel climb, where they can climb to the top of the chapel and get an amazing view of West Campus and the surrounding area. It's a very popular activity for students to do and a great opportunity in that first year to get a different perspective on campus. In the lower left, you'll see a group of students who have just completed an escape room successfully with their coach. So an example of a fun, non-academic community building activity that is fairly common taking place in our coaching groups. And then finally, in the lower right, one of our coaches taking a selfie with his group of advisees as they go out to dinner in Durham, taking advantage of the wonderful restaurants that we have to offer in the area. So again, a lot of high touch, lots of interaction, and really focusing on the whole student and addressing all of the challenges and all of the support needs that they have throughout their first year. In addition to this, another key experience in the first year, let me go back, there we go, is our first year design class. And in fact, many of our 360 coaches are embedded into this first year course, either as instructors or technical mentors, or are otherwise engaged with the students in the course. So this is yet another way in which students interact with that first year mentor and develop that relationship. But this course is taken, every first year student will take this course, typically in the fall semester, but it's also offered in the spring semester. And it's called Introduction to Engineering Design and Communication. It's a very immersive, hands-on course. And as Dean Lynch was referring to the breadth of experiential learning and real problem solving, a hallmark of this course is that students work in teams to design, prototype, build, and deliver solutions to a real problem posed by a real client. So some of those clients have included Duke organizations like the Duke School of Medicine, the Nasher Art Museum, the Duke Gardens, the Duke Lemur Center, and we also partner with community partners such as the Durham Museum of Life and Science and the North Carolina Zoo. So a wide variety of partners. The projects change every semester. And even if a student is working on a particular project, they will have the opportunity to observe and hear about all the different projects happening in the course that semester. So it's a great opportunity to get some exposure and hands-on experience with a wide variety of different engineering problem solving. Challenges, just as some examples, have included things like how to collect trash in a flowing creek, how to automatically shield seedlings from hot sun, and how to hang paintings in a museum without damaging them. So again, a wide variety of projects, which can really open students' eyes into their possibilities. We have special spaces on campus, the Design Pod and the Foundry, which are maker spaces that have been designed specifically for this course. You can kind of see in those photos some of the things that are available in those spaces. We have racks of hand and power tools, 3D printing, foam cutters, laser cutters, electronic workstations, woodworking tools, all kinds of things for students to work with as they solve their problems. I will emphasize that safety is a priority. Students are supervised and they are trained as appropriate on the use of the equipment to which they have access. So this is all part of learning how to be a responsible and safe engineer. I will also note that from this class, we've had a number of our design teams have moved on to patent their inventions. Others have won prizes or funding in national competitions to continue developing their ideas. And students often choose to continue their first year project in a subsequent semester just for fun, because it really is such a great experience and they get so engaged in those problems. So I'm now going to play a video to showcase a couple more of our projects. Let's work. Okay, so that's a couple of our projects. You may have noticed somewhat of a theme there, a plant theme. There were 3 projects showcased there. One was our students collaborating with one of our student theater groups, Hoof and Horn, in building a life-size plant eater for the play Little Shop of Horrors. Another was students who designed the model of a pitcher plant for the Duke Gardens educational outreach. And the final one was a hydroponic garden that was designed for our Duke Smart Home. Now, not all projects are plant related, I can assure you, but we had a little theme there. All right. Oops, sorry about that. So sometimes when students arrive at Duke, some students come to Duke knowing or at least thinking that they know exactly what it is that they want to pursue. Others have maybe gravitated towards engineering, but aren't really sure where their passion lies. And many just fall somewhere in between. So regardless of where your student is on that spectrum, we consider all students to be undeclared when they arrive at Duke. And we've designed the first year to relieve any pressure students might feel to know exactly what they want to do and to provide a lot of opportunity for students to explore the different options. Even if they think they might know what they want to do, they still have that opportunity and freedom to explore in that first year. The first year curriculum, as I said, is fairly common. So across all majors, students will take chemistry, physics, math, computing, writing, and then they will have an opportunity in the spring semester to begin to explore what they might think they might want to major in. There are a number of ways that students can explore their interests before typically they will declare their major at the end of their first year. These include, of course, the first year design class, where they're going to see lots of examples of lots of different kinds of engineering. All of the advising resources. So of course, their 360 coach is a key player and a key resource in that exploration. Our academic deans are happy to sit down with a student and help them with a 4-year plan, or more than one 4-year plan, depending on how undecided they are. Peer advisors are always available, and instructors. In the department, again, I mentioned that we have our major consultants, which are dedicated to our first year students and their exploration of possible majors. Directors of undergraduate studies are happy to sit down with students and talk about the curriculum, career paths, point them to students in the department as resources. And also there are online handbooks that go extensively into the curriculum for each major and talk about all the details that a student might be interested in. Departments host open houses for undeclared students where they have an opportunity to interact with faculty, students who are in that major, and often we'll have tours of our teaching labs so they can get a real idea of what they're going to be doing in that major. There are research poster sessions, Pratt-wide seminars, guests who come visit and give talks, and lots of opportunities to explore in that way. Student organizations are another excellent venue for exploring those interests, and I'm going to talk more about those in a second. As well as other resources like the Career Center hosting internship fairs, one called Tech Connect, really focusing on industry relations, connection to alumni, and other ways to explore those interests. One thing I will say is please encourage your student to seek out and make use of all these resources throughout that first year so that they can end up making an informed choice when it comes time to declare their major. As students move on into their second year and beyond, they will start delving deeper into their chosen discipline and take additional courses, many of which, as Dean Lynch mentioned, we emphasize that experiential and hands-on learning. So many of these courses offer opportunities for further design experiences, lab courses to explore and really see what's going on. So here we have a couple of photos just illustrating some of the variety of activities that students can do. In the upper left corner, we have some civil engineering students who are testing some concrete beams. And this is a typical kind of lab where students are going to do some hands-on work to experience and explore the theory that they've been presented in the classroom, so to reinforce that learning there. In the top right, we have a design project where students were asked to design a lemur feeder that could both sit high up in a tree, but also be accessible to the workers at the lemur center. Down in the lower left, we have students who are watching their autonomous robots in their introductory ECE class at the conclusion of their integrated design challenge, where they've built a series of robots that use sensors to collect data and make decisions and then collaboratively solve a puzzle. And then finally, in our lower right here, we have some mechanical engineering and material science students who have designed and built a number of 3D printed hydropower turbines. And again, they are comparing their theoretical predictions to experimental measurements and learning how to reconcile differences that arise in that. So Pratt student organizations are another great way for students to engage and explore their interests and get involved. And we have over 30 organizations that they can choose from. Some of those I would categorize as groups with a global focus, such as the Duke Engineers for International Development, or DEED. And in the upper left column there is a picture of our team from summer of 2023 who are celebrating the completion of a suspension bridge in Eswatini. We also have student chapters of professional societies, such as the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers in the upper right, the National Society of Black Engineers in the lower left, and then in the middle left there, we have the Society of Women Engineers. And these primarily focus on career development and networking. And so students have the opportunity, as you can see here, often to engage at a national level with students in these organizations. Then we also have a variety of hands-on competitive teams for students looking for that kind of experience. Two examples here in the right column. In the middle there is our Duke Motorsports. This photo was taken at the 2023 Michelin Shootout, where our team placed third overall. And then below that is our Duke Aero team with its 30K solid motor rocket, where they competed in the Spaceport America Cup in 2022. So as I said, in total, there are over 30 Pratt student organizations with a broad range of opportunities to engage with each other and also with the local and global communities. Yeah, once you drop your student off, there are opportunities for you to connect as well. So our first opportunity comes in the middle of the semester with fall break, which is in mid-October. Students are welcome to stay on campus or go home. It's a fairly short break, as you'll see, starting late on Friday through the following Tuesday. But that will be our first major break in the semester. That's followed very shortly by family weekend, and we would love to see you come visit campus that weekend, see what your student has been up to, learn about all the exciting things, experience those in person with your students. Next, we have Thanksgiving break in November. And even though it says Tuesday through Sunday, I just want to point out Tuesday is a full day of classes. And so keep that in mind as you're making travel plans. So really think about it maybe as a Wednesday through Sunday. And then finally, the semester wraps up with the winter break starting at the end of the day on Monday, December 16th. So many opportunities for your student to come home and or you to come visit. There are other ways as well for you to engage and connect with your students and all of the information. So Duke Hub is the name of our student portal through which students can access a wide variety of information, as you can see listed there. One thing, it is very important that you not log into the system using your student's credentials. Instead, we have set up a system where your student can grant proxy or guest access to you, and they can give you access to one or all or a selection of these different pieces of information. So you can talk to your student. They can access this again in their Duke Hub profile and grant you, primarily it will be view-only access, although there are certain exceptions like the bursar's bill where you will be able to pay the bill for them. In addition, there will be university correspondence. There's going to be a monthly Duke parent and family newsletter that you will receive that will feature important upcoming deadlines and keep you connected to that, as well as some fun and interesting news and notes from across campus to keep you up with the happenings on campus. In addition, the Pratt School will also send you a monthly newsletter called Duke Engineering Now that is going to be Pratt specific and keep you in touch with the goings on within Pratt. Again, great conversation starters to have with your students. You can also connect with us on social media. You can see down there below. And then we welcome you to reach out at any time and contact us by calling the Pratt Undergraduate Education Office with any questions, concerns, anything. Communication is key, and we welcome your reaching out to us and talking to us anytime you feel the need to do that. Okay, so I think that wraps up the presentation, and I want to allow plenty of time here for questions and answers. So I'm going to toss this over to Tarina, who is going to coordinate our Q&A session.
Thank you, Dean Hutel, for that fantastic presentation. My name is Tarina, and I am going to lead the Q&A session here. Any questions that you have, go ahead and put them in the Q&A section in the bottom of your screen there, and we will be happy to answer them. I will read the questions out loud, and then our team will take turns answering. So our first question is, can you discuss computer requirements? Are Macs okay?
Yes, we have some generic computer requirements put together by the Pratt IT team. And depending on the major, some students really prefer Macs and they use Macs. Some majors, a PC is a little preferred. And that's something that the deans can send out kind of those recommendations. And if I could try to attach it to the chat. If I can figure that out.
Okay. Our next question is, are there any study abroad programs for Pratt students?
So I'll maybe start with that, but I'm sure our academic deans will chime in on this as well. I will say study abroad, I think, is one of the exciting things about Duke is that it does make study abroad accessible for engineers, which is somewhat unique, I think, among engineering programs. There are a couple of programs that are specific for engineers, but in general, all the programs, provided that the students meet the language requirements, and sometimes the language requirement is English, but it is very accessible for engineers. It will vary a bit depending on the major, what classes are most likely to find abroad. But I think what's wonderful about Duke and study abroad is that engineers are able to continue making progress towards their degree, even while studying abroad.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'll add to that is with proper planning, and any or all students could study abroad. So it is important to both follow the curriculum template. I know sometimes students want to jump around and take some other classes, but it is important to follow that sequence that is in all of the templates that are online. And then also meeting with your academic dean anytime in the first year. It doesn't have to be in the first few months, but sometime in the later of your first year, we can sit down and plan and see what a study abroad semester would look like for you individually.
Thank you. Is there anything extra that students have to do if they want to double major?
I mean, they may have to take extra classes to earn the major requirements. And so there's no like separate major declaration. They can declare one major, two majors, minors, certificates when they declare their major after their first year. But they do need to fulfill the major requirements. One common question is if a second major is in a Trinity department, whether they also need to fulfill the Trinity general education requirements. And that the answer to that question is no. They don't have, they just have to fulfill the Pratt general education requirements and the Trinity major requirements for the major. But yes, they do have to take extra classes to get a second major.
So, okay, if a Pratt student wants to explore the majors offered by Trinity, will that be possible? Also, how easy is it to switch between departments?
So, you know, Pratt has requirements. Each major allows you to have free electives, anywhere from 1 to 4 free electives, depending on the major. So students can use those classes to explore other departments, other areas. We also have a social science and humanities requirement. We require engineers to take 5 social science humanities. And if what you want to explore is in the social science or humanities, then you could use those classes to double count or just do the exploring, even if you don't pursue anything formal in that other department. So there are those few opportunities. And then for students who might come in with advanced placement credits, whether they're IB or international placement credits, AP credits, those essentially create free spaces for you in your curriculum because you're satisfying some of your degree requirements with those advanced placement credits. So then that would create some free spots for you to take some other classes to do some exploring. And in regard to switching departments, if you're referring to transferring to Trinity, that is actually very easy to do. You just need to see your dean. And we'll talk about if that, you know, kind of what you're thinking and what your goals are, and we can talk that out. And if that is the right decision, we can certainly help students transfer to Trinity.
How early do 4+1 programs need to be planned out? And does the possibility of accomplishing this depend on the number of credits a student comes in with?
So the 4+1 programs, most of them require 10 courses for a master's. And the idea behind doing it in 1 year is fitting 2 of those 10 classes in your undergraduate years. So the earliest you can apply to and join a 4+1 program is in spring of your junior year. But you can start planning in your first year if you to give yourself space to have 2 classes that won't count towards any of your undergraduate degree requirements or certificate requirements or minor requirements that are only going to be used that are graduate courses that will only be used towards your graduate degree. And those are typically taken in the senior year. But there's not much planning other than kind of planning out how to make that room in your schedule.
Okay, so another question about study abroad. What are the typical cities for study abroad?
So we don't, I mean, there are some cities that students tend to go to. Our global education office is starting some new practices that they are really encouraging students to go literally all over the world and not concentrate in specific cities or countries. So we have students who go to Australia, Scotland, England, they've been to France, they're in Madrid. Actually, I think there's multiple programs in Spain that are available. We've had some Asian countries that students have gone to. So we do encourage students to go kind of off the beaten path sometimes. So there are opportunities to explore, and they're all over the world.
How many classes does a student typically take in a semester?
4. 4.5 is the limit for all first semester students. And then students are allowed to take, the default limit goes up to 5 after the first semester. So some students choose to take we call it overloading, with 5 courses in some subsequent semester, but typically most students take 4. And they're even students who try taking 5 in one semester often think 4 is a better number. A lot of our co-curriculars like student clubs, student groups, professional societies are also valuable time commitments for students. So students find that when they're taking more than 4 classes, they don't have time for some of the other things that they want to put into their undergraduate experience.
Okay, we have a lot of questions about AP credits. Is there a max? And when can students see how many AP credits they have received?
So it is different than Trinity. Trinity has a maximum of 2, period. Pratt will accept more credits than that. We will accept a maximum of 2 credits in the social science and humanities. So that's where our 2 maximum is. Otherwise, there's a potential to earn 2 math credits, 1 physics credit, potential to earn chemistry, depending on the major. Each department, or there's departments require different scores for the chemistry. Same with biology. Some of our departments accept biology, some don't. So all of that information is in each departmental handbook. So there is the potential to have a good number of AP credits count if you have them. There are a lot of credits that our students come in with that don't count for anything. So that is a possibility as well. And then what was the second part of that question, Tarina? When can they see them? So when Duke has them, they will show up in your academic history. Hopefully you all requested your scores get sent to Duke, especially if you took them in May. One note though, if you sent them with your admissions application, that doesn't get to the registrar's office. So you should make sure that the registrar's office has them. And if not, you can go to the College Board and make a request online to have those scores sent to Duke. For students with specifically BC math score, that does need to be on your transcript in order to register for the appropriate math class. So check your College Board site and make sure that those scores were sent to Duke. If Duke has them, they will appear on your academic history in your Duke Hub page. And I think they're still receiving some scores now, so it takes a couple weeks to get them all posted to student records. So if you receive confirmation from College Board that they were indeed sent to Duke, give it maybe another week or 10 days before you contact the registrar's office to ask them if they've been received or not.
In a student's first semester, can they take a house course in addition to the regular 4 courses?
Yes. Pratt does not count house courses towards our 34 credit requirement. But students, yes, students can take half credit house courses any semester. And the limit in the first semester is 4.5. So if they're in 4 credits, they could take a half credit house course or half credit PE, dance, music. A lot of our music groups have half credit courses to go along with them. If they're double majoring in physics, physics has a half credit programming course that they recommend for their major. So there's a few different options for half credits. But most students will, like, you don't need to take 4.5 just because 4.5 is the limit.
Another question is, and I see Dean McMillan is typing the answer, but are students required to declare their major at the end of the first year?
So we do ask all of our first year students to declare their major at the end of the first year. We work with you, so students who might be undecided or a little on the fence with something, the academic deans will work with those students to make sure that you have a schedule that can kind of help you progress toward both majors. There's some overlap in, our majors depending on which, 2 or 3 you might be thinking about. So we can help you plan a schedule so that you have the possibility to still keep those doors open. We will declare a major to get you a faculty advisor in your first choice of major. So that is important to kind of have that guidance, have that faculty advisor assigned to you. So if a student changes their mind, or maybe they did their first choice, but then they decided they want their second choice after all, they can easily be changed. We can change it in a split second, and we can assign you a new advisor, and everything, everything's fine. And the academic dean can help you if you need to tweak your classes a little bit to reflect what your new major is going to be.
Okay, will the students get an opportunity to talk to their dean before the start of the semester?
Yes, we have been reaching out to students since early June. We had a webinar for students early in June, and have been reaching out. It is important for your students to check their Duke email. So that's what we've been using to reach out. So if your student hasn't been checking their Duke email, they might not have gotten our messages about how to make an appointment with their dean.
Do students from all graduating classes generally take 4 classes per semester, or is this only for freshmen?
So in the first semester, we do have a limit for entering first year students. 4.5 credits is the maximum that a student could take. And then beginning for the spring semester, students can take 5 classes. They can take 5 credits. With permission, they could take up to 5.5 in that first semester. We will certainly discuss that and make sure that's the right decision for you to do. Ultimately, our maximum limit is 6 credits that a student can take in a semester, and that's a lot of classes, so that's not common. Some students do it, and we want to make sure students can approach 5 classes successfully before we will approve a student to take 6 classes.
For students interested in pre-health tracks, should they contact pre-health advising for input on August enrollment, or can that wait until they're on campus?
There is a pre-health webinar on July 24th. And maybe one of the our hosts can talk about that. I don't know if there's an easy way to post the link. But yeah, I'll try to find the link and then we'll post it. But yes, there's a pre-health webinar, and there's also a listserv. And if you look at, I'll try to post this on the webinar, but if you look at Google, if you Google Duke pre-health planning, there's a link in there for that. Maybe it got posted.
Is the 360 coaching all at the group level, or is there one-on-one coaching? If the latter, is this arranged for the student, or does the student have to reach out?
The 360 coaching is the program that we call our first year advising program. So each student receives a faculty advisor, and in the first year, they're called 360 coaches. So yes, these will be one-on-one sessions. There may be some group sessions, group outings, maybe a group advising session here or there. We do our best to assign the 360 coach, the faculty advisor in the first year, to have connection with the EGR 101 section, which is the first year design class that all engineers take in the fall. So we do our best to make that connection where either the faculty advisor or the technical mentor is the advisor to the students in their groups, in their sections. Not always possible. That's not all of our advisors aren't all connected to EGR 101, but for those who are not, they also make concerted efforts to connect with their students. But yeah, at the very minimum, there is a one-on-one advising appointment that happens each semester. And that's at registration time, where even after beyond the first year with the faculty advisor, every student needs to meet with their faculty advisor once per semester in a one-on-one advising session.
Okay, is it 2 AP credits that are for credit toward 34 credit requirements for graduation? And those 2 AP credits can only be used for fulfilling humanities requirements, or Pratt students can choose?
There's no upper limit on AP credits for Pratt. So I think Dean McMillan kind of got at this earlier, and it's a little bit, it's helpful to talk to your dean or advisor about this. Basically, you can't use a history AP credit to count for a math credit, right? So the AP credit has to be in an appropriate place, but you can use like up to 2 math credits, up to 1 chemistry credit. We don't have an upper limit of 2. We do have a limit of 2 social science humanities credits for that 5 course social science humanities requirement. But we get a lot of questions about AP in this summer, this time of year. So, tell your student to ask us, and we'll talk about it with them to help them figure it out.
And we have no more open questions. Feel free to put them in the chat. We still have a couple minutes. Or in the Q&A, I should have said.
I'll just take a minute to add, Dean Cook already mentioned it, but I will repeat it, to encourage your students to check their Duke email regularly. So we send any communication messages that they need to know to that Duke email. So it is important to check that weekly, if not daily.
Okay, we have another question here. Does Duke partner with other universities to provide extra opportunities for engineering students?
So we have some of our student groups partner with other universities. Like DEED is building a bridge. The Duke Engineers for International Development is building a bridge in conjunction with the Virginia Tech Group in Bolivia this summer. And a lot of our students who study abroad through study abroad programs that are sometimes hosted in other universities. So there is a collaboration. We had a student this spring who did Duke in LA and took a mechanical and a fluids course at USC. So there's students, kind of connecting with other universities, and so there's not necessarily a formal program other than the kind of the local interinstitutional programs where all Duke students can take 1 course each semester at any of our UNC kind of partner schools, including NC State or UNC.
And our last question is, if you aren't provided Writing 101 as a freshman, do you have to take CS 201, or can you take Introductory Computing and it will suffice?
Introductory computing will suffice. So the Pratt computing requirement is satisfied by either Engineering 105, which is that used to be numbered Engineering 103, but we renumbered it this fall to 105, or you can take ComSci 201. Both of those courses will satisfy the Pratt computing requirement.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And I am going to turn it back over to our hosts.
Thanks again to our amazing Pratt undergraduate education team. Hopefully everyone that joined us live, and even those that are rewatching, definitely gain some insightful information, but always remembering that this isn't the end all be all. Like, you definitely can reach out to this folks or reach out to our office if you have any additional questions. Like I said earlier, this is the first webinar in our parent and family orientation series. So we have a lot more of information to share with you all. And so as you're seeing up on the screen, these are the rest of the webinars that we have for this month. So we're gonna have 2 more in August. We'll have our Trinity family meeting. So if you also have another student that will be in Trinity, that meeting will be hosted at the beginning of August. And then we'll also be hosting our move-in webinars for both our first year and our transfer families and students. And so that has all been shared in our monthly family newsletters. And so if you haven't been receiving those emails, definitely reach out to our office. We'd be more than happy to give you instructions to make sure that you're getting those regular communications, but then also making sure that you're staying up to date with our website. And we definitely utilize that space to share all of our information. And so again, thank you to this amazing team for joining us and providing their insight and knowledge to you all today. Again, this webinar is being recorded. Give us about 48 to 72 hours to get this transcribed so that it's accessible to all. And we hope to see you at some of our later webinars throughout this summer. Thanks, everyone. Have a great one.